What's up, spongers? Today we're absorbing Oil by Upton Sinclair. As we absorb Oil, I don't want this to be a traditional or classic book review. I am going to talk about the themes of the book and a bit of the summary, but overall I want to talk about what this book taught me about life, about history, about science, and absorb it in its entirety. And I think that's what's going to separate these videos from your traditional book reviews. This is not so much of what happens in the book and why, it's more about what did I learn from reading this book. Today we're absorbing Oil by Upton Sinclair, the book that inspired the movie There Will Be Blood, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson and starring Daniel Day-Lewis. The movie's acclaim is derived from its ability to draw a striking comparison between Daniel Plainview, an oil prospector, and Eli Sunday, a preacher. Now, where Daniel uses promises of wealth and quality of life to a small town that sits on top of a sea of oil, Eli Sunday promises salvation and miracles to the same group of people using the power and influence of God. In this way, There Will Be Blood draws an incredible comparison between these two positions of power, using their influence to obtain more power and wield it and manipulate the masses. The editing and cinematography of There Will Be Blood is striking and causes the audience member to feel engaged to the point of obsession, which would mirror the obsession that overcomes both Daniel Plainview and Eli Sunday in their pursuits of power and influence. One through the blood from the ground, oil, and one using the blood of Christ in religion. The actual book, Oil, doesn't follow a similar narrative, and it's actually a much more politically focused novel than is the movie, written from Upton Sinclair's personal perspective on socialism in the First World War, the Russian Revolution, and the Red Scare in America in the early 1920s. So throughout the book, you find yourself sympathizing with Bunny, who is the son of Dad, who would be the character Daniel Plainview in the movie There Will Be Blood, and you follow his journey, a coming-of-age story set within a timepiece of the early 1900s in California, in which he is torn between allegiances to his father, who he loves for and cares for very much, but is discouraged by the inherent corruption that comes with the pursuit of such grandiose wealth. Bunny takes his own journey apart from his father and doesn't follow directly in his oil-laced footsteps, and instead chooses to sympathize and be active in the working class revolution along with his idol, Paul Sunday, who is the brother to Eli Sunday, the preacher. I enjoyed reading it and visualizing the characters from the book to be the same as the characters in the movie, which was enjoyable, as it always is for fans of both reading and the cinema. But I wish that the narrative didn't carry on for so long and have so many detours, and I think that the book could have been a bit more concise, but overall I enjoyed the book. I would give it like a 6.5 out of 10, 7, something like that. So after reading this book, I wrote my best philosophical analysis of what this book taught me about life, and as you can see from the back, it's pretty obvious that the book is about greed and corruption, talking about scandals in the oil industry and the power and influence of money and the pursuit of it. And so I'm just going to read you what I wrote for my philosophical analysis because I think it's well worded and I don't want to record this 50 times trying to get it right. So I wrote, "The pursuit of power for the sake of power is inherently corrupt. Thus, corruption is a natural byproduct of maintaining or multiplying it. Systems are developed by powerful people who are terrified of regression, designed to manipulate and influence the masses so that the revolutionary fights are fought laterally and not vertically up the social ladder. The novel speaks to the culture that we have created that values the individual over the collective, pitting business against beings, a degrading phenomenon that is embedded into our society and will not be torn out until the citizen values more than the face of a dead president." With each book that I review, I want to share with you my favorite quote, and from Oil, it's the last sentence of the novel in which Upton Sinclair describes greed in a metaphysical way. He writes, "An evil power which roams the earth, crippling the bodies of men and women, and luring the nations to destruction by visions of unearned wealth and the opportunity to enslave and exploit labor." So in 1917, during the final years of World War I, Russia underwent a social revolution called the Bolshevik Revolution of the working class, in which the masses were going to intend to govern themselves. This caused widespread panic throughout America, known as the Red Scare, in which they were afraid that a revolution of the same nature would overthrow democracy. And so Upton Sinclair dives into the effects on society that this revolution had, and the use of propaganda by our country and Russia to discredit the other's government. At the forefront of the historical context of oil, we have the Harding administration oil scandals, most famously the Teapot Dome scandal. Harding won the nomination in 1920. He was a senator and a newspaper publisher. He received financial backing from large oil companies and won the presidency without really wanting to become the president. His administration is notorious for the scandals that plagued his cabinet members and the reaction of society from the level of greed and corruption that was believed to be impossible in the government before this time. This was on the level of Watergate, except 50 years prior. Teapot Dome was a historical scandal in which the Secretary of the Interior, Albert Fall, received monetary bribes for leases to large oil reservations that were meant for the Navy. When Albert Fall entered into Harding's cabinet, he convinced Harding to transfer the oversight of these reservations to his department and then leased them out to oil companies without competitive bidding and receiving bribes. And they were also good friends of his. When Harding was elected, he gave his close friends high positions in the government, and they abused him at every opportunity. And it was one of the most scandalous, corrupt administrations in the history of the country, from selling fake liquor licenses to taking bribes for oil reserves. That is what the Harding administration is known for, although the majority of the scandals were unearthed after his death. Hi guys, thanks for absorbing oil with me. I appreciate your time and your curiosity. Please continue to question, continue to learn, and be excited about absorbing more life. Thank you so much.